Hi, welcome back everybody to another tutorial video. Asher Steve here, signing in. Today we will be discussing how we can use the Cisco router as DHCP server. As many of you have asked me to make a video on this. So without much delay, let's get started. Okay, so this is our work area, workplace. So let's grab some of the routers here. So as you can see down here below, there is network devices. So we will be using this 2901 router. You can use any of them. So for this demonstration, we will be using this. So this, I took this router. Next we will be picking up some of the PCs, like let's say, okay, and we can also grab some there, and we will use one server as well here. We will make this one as a DNS server, and we'll use another PC as well. Okay, and then we will be needing one switch here. So let's go to the switch, and below here there's a switch. So let's take any one of them. So this is 24 port. Okay, so let's quickly connect this cable. So let's go to the cable, and remember we will be using this straight cable. So again, we just go put to the port number 1. This one will be go to the port number 2, and this will go to the port number 3. I'm giving serially so that it doesn't mean like necessary, but then serially, so that configuration does look good. So that's the only thing I'm using this serially. Otherwise you can use any port, that's okay. So now we will connect this. We will make this server as DNS server, and this router we will be using this router as DHCP router. So let's connect to this. Okay, GIG. Okay, so now we have connected all the wires, the cables, everything here. Now this, we will just put a label on this. So this one we will be using as a DHCP server. Okay, and this is our DNS server. Okay, so it's done. So now let me put this, first of all, the DNS server here, there. So we will use this DNS server. So let's see the configurations of the DNS server and the IP address that we will be using. So I want the DNS server IP address to be using this one. So we will be using class A. Okay, so we're using this IP address called 10.0.0. Okay, so we will be using 2. Okay, so 2, and then our default gateway router will be using this one. Yeah, and then since this is our DNS server, so he will be using 10.10.0.2, his own IP address. Okay, so this is our DNS server, so we will configure that. So we are using the local IP address for this local network. So we are using class A IP address for this. So class A private address, we are using private address. So now let's go to the router. So first of all, what it do was like this, you can see the address here, GIG 0/0. This is the port label. So the port here, router is using this interface ID. This is called the interface ID as well. So we will be using this. So now we have to put the IP address first of all. Okay, let me make sure that this DHCP IP address is like this. So his IP address, since this is a router and he will be providing, so this will be his gateway, and everybody will get the same gateway here from here. Okay, so this is that one. Okay, so first of all, we'll put the GIG 0/0 interface. We'll be using this, and we will give this IP address to this interface. So let's go inside this router, double click that, and then I want this to slide a little bit this side so that you can see. So we can see, as you can see here, there are a lot of things that you can also see. Our router is right now turned on, and there are also interfaces which you can so there are a lot of cards you can see here. There are a lot of cards, so which card it is showing that. So if you need more card, for example, just switch off this and grab one of this. Yeah, so if you want to put here, so this way you can also put. After that you can just turn on the router, and you can see go to CLI, and this is the starting of the router. When you start up the router, it always show like this. So every configuration is done here. So now it is you can see it is up. So okay, so now we can go. So since this is our router, so we can go now. So we just give here no and okay. So let's go to the router as well here. So now we are in the configurations of this router. So first of all, we are in the user configuration mode. So let's go to the global configuration mode. So we will just give this enable. Okay, so enable, and from here we go to this config T, that means configuration terminal. Now I will just show here in the site. Okay, all right. Okay, so now here we have this GIG0/0, that is the interface ID of this router, and we will be using this IP address. So we will put right now the interface is down. As you can see, it is red in color. So and the rest of this client are all green, so we make sure this router is already green as well. So we have to make the link up first of all. Okay, so let's go to this here and put the IP address. So I'm going to put here interface, and then ID is GIG0/0. Okay, so we are pointing to this interface. So now I put the IP address. So what we're going to use is class A private IP 10.0.0.0.1, and the subnet mask 255.0.0.0. okay, so enter, and then we will give here no shut. Okay, so now as you can see, from it is going to the green, and this one is still orange, so it's still listening. So after some time it will be up. So now the router is good to go. So now we will be using this interface to deploy all this local IP from this class A private IP address, and we'll put the DNS server IP as well also in this DHCP server. So now we will go to the DHCP. So we will create here IP DHCP pool. So we will just give a pool name here. So we'll just call as CCNA. Okay, so pool name, this is just a name. So we are telling what type of pool is this. So this is about a CCNA, so we will just put that CCNA here. IP address CCNA, and then what network you're going to use. We're going to use this network, so we have to put here. So network, that means the IP address which we're going to deploy the IP address to this local area clients. So network, so we're going to use 0.0.0.0. So since this is a network, so we're giving 0.0.0.0. okay, so enter. So that is a network, and now we have to give this default router IP address. So we give here default router. So what is the router IP address? Is this 10.0.0.1, and here we don't need the subnet mask, just give enter. And now what will be the DNS server IP address? So we already mentioned here, for time being, just for us to know, we have put here 2, so we have to put the same thing here also. So here DNS server, okay, then the IP address, so 10.0.0.2 and enter. And so now we're good to go. So now here we just have to give here exit. Okay, so now we'll just save all our configuration one more time, exit, and now we will see our configurations. So we will use the show command, show run. Okay, enter, and you can see now whatever we have configured, it is here. IP DHCP pool CCNA network, we're using this default router, DNS this, and now I have configured the IP address of this interface. As you can see here, this is the IP address and the interface. So the rest we are not yet configured. So now we will just go to the client and see from the router, this is it. So we have configured that. And if you want to save the configuration before you close this, just make sure that you make it right here. So this will save all your configurations, whatever you have done in the router. So now it is building configuration. Okay, so now you can just exit. Okay, and you can close that. And now we go to the client and we will see whether we are getting the IP address from the DHCP server from this router. So now we go to this. Now it is static, but we are using the DHCP server, so we are going to put here and we should be getting the IP address. So as you can see now here, I have given the IP address and we are getting here 3. Since he is using 2, this is 1, so IP started with 3. And you can see that here subnet mask and the default gateway as we put, DNS as we have put in the server. So we got this. So this client is getting the next client, we can see. So one by one we have to go and turn on the DHCP. Okay, so 4, good, it's a good sign. So we can come here, we can put to DHCP once again. Okay, so it's slowly getting, all the clients are getting the IP address. After that we will check the connectivity. Yeah, now 66 is getting here. This IP, this should be 7. Yes, it's getting 7 there, and this one should be getting 8. Yeah, so it's getting 8 there. So now we have put this server. It's up to you, like whether you want to, but you want to make it permanent static, so you can keep this way. So now let's see the connectivity between the client locally, whether they will be connecting to each other or communicate each other, whether they can send the ICMP package to one another or not. So we'll start from here. We'll ping from here. So let's go to the command prompt and we can see that check the IP address of this. So IP config, here you can see that it is 8. So from 8 I'm going to ping to 7654321, like that. So that, okay, so from here, from this PC I'm going to ping 10.0.0.7. I'm going to ping here. Okay, so 7 is pinging. Right, now let's ping 6. 6 is also getting, and we can use this 5. Yeah, 5 also is getting. Then we have 4. Okay, then 3. Okay, then 2. Okay, so now let's ping our router, that is 1. Yeah, so we can ping and we are getting all the reply. So we have configured this DHCP server successfully. So we can use this kind of a router as a DHCP also. So when you don't want to use this server separately, you can also use the Cisco router as a DHCP server, or you can also configure put in this same kind of server and make it a DHCP without using the router as well. But in this case, we are using this router as DHCP so that we don't have to server. Okay, so the guys, I hope this video has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you. So give your valuable comment section below, and please do subscribe and like and share it. Thank you, and see you in the next video.